From what you say about the FATF's current priority in that regard, what practical effect do you think the FATF can have? What challenges do you think will arise because this matter of asset recovery rests largely, not totally, but largely within national governments?
FATF, by nature of the role that we play, has the ability to set standards, hold countries to account, to implement those standards. But we can't do it alone. It is hugely important that we then work with strategic partners such as Interpol, UNODC, regional asset recovery networks, CARIN as well as ARIN, that have been established, and forge a very powerful strategic partnership that drives action to enhance asset recovery. The current reality is that asset recovery remains very low. Globally, I mean, the figures that we see are pretty stark in terms of how low they are. And so we think deliberate, concerted action needs to kick in. If you think about criminals, they are using the proceeds of crime to commit further crimes. And we are talking about areas like drug trafficking, you're talking about human trafficking, you're talking about illegal wildlife trade. And all of these have victims. There is, discernible impact on ecology, on people's lives, even on national security. And there is a lot of potential, I think, if we work together. And so Singapore is, under the Singapore presidency, we are actually working very closely with strategic partners such as Interpol. And I'm looking forward to co-hosting in Singapore the first, what we call the FATF-Interpol Roundtable Engagement, abbreviated FIRE. And we really want to fire up global concerted action in this space. We think that countries need to prioritize it. Very often, the current reality is that police forces, national authorities only look at crime and the catching of criminals and sentencing of criminals as part of the whole value chain, but forget about going after the proceeds of crime. And so it's a travesty if a criminal goes in for a short jail term but comes out and then enjoys the rich fruits of crime.
An interesting choice of acronym FIRE in the circumstances. I personally think that's a good choice, if I may say so, because some people, I think, don't realize that the FATF is not some distant body. It is actually a collection of its members and observer organizations.
Yeah.
And from what you said just now about focusing on outcomes, do you see the FATF achieving that goal in relation to asset recovery more than it has done so far, more than the world has done so far?
I think there's tremendous potential to move the needle forward in a substantive way. It is about making an investment in capacity and capability development, making sure that investigators, for example, have the knowledge, the skills, the competencies, the wherewithal to be able to follow the money, and then the necessary laws in place to then allow them to seize the money, freeze it, and then move on to asset forfeiture. This is crucial to success.